Hello students, this is Effective Technical Communication session and I am Joshi from LJIET Institute of Engineering and Technology. In our today's session, we are going to discuss about written communication, and in that particularly we will be discussing about report writing. In our last session, we talked about different characteristics of a report and purposes of a report. So today we will see different formats of report and how to write those formats. Now the first format is the pre-printed format. Now the pre-printed format is usually used for smaller reports and for the information which is required repetitively. Also, in this report, data is asked for. So let us see an example. Now here I have taken an example of a travel claim report. Now, usually in an organization which has businesses throughout the country or maybe globally, then the employees require to travel for business purposes. Now, because they travel for business purposes, they would claim the reimbursement that they have incurred in their travel. So, for that, they will have to submit some report. Now, this report has data which is fixed and which is required by the organization so that they can give the amount to the employee. So here you can have a look at this travel claim report which has certain headings written there and there are blanks which the employees can fill up. So let us see each element one by one. So first of all, we will see the letterhead. Now a letterhead or a heading is the address and all contact details of the company or the organization where the report is written. So here, as you can say, and as an example, we have taken the name of Alpha Service Providers, MG Road, Bangalore. Now the letterhead is usually centrally justified or it can be justified to the left margin. Now here the heading of the report is also written, which is travel claim report. Now let us go to the next one. Now this next one is the title. Now this title consists of all the details that are present in your report. So what all details are present in your report? So first of all, for whom the travel claim is it. So the name of the employee has to be there. The designation of the employee has to be there, the date of visit from and to, the place of visit, the purpose of visit, the number of days that the person has spent. So all the details are there in the title. Again, the title is justified centrally. Now moving on to the next element, and that is in a table form over here. Now it is not that in all pre-printed formats there is a table form. But here a table form is there because certain data is required which can be put into a table and which can be looked at very easily. The reading of such reports becomes an easy task. So let us see what does it consist of. So in the data of our travel claim report, we have the travel, that means what amount the person has spent in the travel, then in the local commute, then in the hotel stay, then for the food and any other expenses that the person may have spent. So that is mentioned in this table. So this will give the total amount to the organization to be given to the employee. So there is some data which is required is put either in a table format or it can also be in a list format. Now the last element of this pre-printed format is the signature. Now here we require the signature of the person who had traveled and the signature of the person who is approving this report or who is approving the reimbursement along with the date. Here you will sign and write the date on which you are submitting the report, and the approver will sign and write the name and the date. So this is all about the pre-printed format. Now moving on to the next format, which is the memo format. Now this memo report can be either informative or analytical. They are small reports and they are used particularly when anything is submitted within the organization. So let us have a look at the memo report. Now this is how the report looks like. You can see that there are certain things at the top which are justified centrally, and then later on we have things which are written which is justified to the left margin. So let us see each element of memo report one by one. So first of all, just like the pre-printed format, there is a letterhead. Now every organizational communication which is a written communication has the letterhead or the heading, because it requires the detail, that is the contact details like the address, phone numbers, fax numbers, etc. at the top of the document. So again here we have the letterhead just like we had in the pre-printed format. As you can see, the title of the report has the heading or the topic of the report followed by prepared by who has prepared the report. This is followed by the name of the person to whom the report is going to be submitted and followed by the date of the report. So this is the title of memo format and it is written centrally justified. Now let us see the next element, and that is the introduction. Now this part is actually the part of the main body, but we are discussing the introduction separately because we also want to understand what kinds of words we can use when we write a report. So usually we know that the introduction consists of the background. Now when I say background, it means that we want to write about why we are writing this particular report, or we want to highlight the objective of this report. So as you can read over here, it is written that as per our last conversation, or you can even write the words like as per your instructions, we have come to know that the absenteeism has been increasing in our organization and this is a thing of concern. So for that you had already asked me to prepare a report. So that is an introduction with a background, why this report is being prepared. Now this has to be followed by what is the method that you used to come up with this analysis, because this particular report is an analytical report where you want to analyze the reasons for absenteeism of any employees. Now this is only an example, but memo report is used for all kinds of reports in an organization which are submitted within the organization or which are used for any internal purpose. So now later on, after this background, how do we write about the methods? You may have interviewed the employees in the organization, or maybe you may have designed some questionnaires and made them fill up those questionnaires. And from the analysis of those answers, you may have found out or you may have come up to a certain conclusion. So here you have to mention that I have done this or I have used this method. For example, here it is written that I have interviewed some employees and from that I have also designed some questionnaires. So you have used some two methods to find out the correct data. So this is the introduction part of the main body. Now the next thing that we can see in the memo format is the data analysis part. So now this is the main part of the main body and this is the data analysis. So in the data analysis, first we present the data and then we give our analysis. So here the information that is obtained from the questionnaire is listed down. Now again, data can be presented either in a list form, that is the point form, or it can be presented in a table depending on whether it is a textual data or it is a numerical data. Now after the data analysis, you will come to some conclusion, and then because this is an analytical report to solve a problem, you will also give a solution or a recommendation. So here we have the conclusions and recommendations, and these conclusions and recommendations are always written in a text form, and we write down whatever we have concluded from the data, and then based on that we will give some recommendations. So here recommendations are given that some motivational things have to be done, or some incentive plans have to be introduced, or maybe employees may feel a lot of pressure, so you come up with some kind of job rotation. There can be n number of things. Now again, here the data taken is hypothetical. It is not a real data. This is just an example. So this is how you write down your conclusions. Now this is the last part of the memo format, which is the signature block. Now the signature block has the signature of the person who has prepared the report, and it has the name of the person along with the designation. So this is how we write down the memo format. Now coming to our last format, which is the letter format. Now how do we write the letter format and when do we use it? So first of all, the letter formats are also used for smaller reports, but they are used, unlike the memo formats, they are used for external purposes, or when they have to be submitted to some external agencies or organizations. So let us see how to write the letter formats. Now this is how the letter format looks like. So as the name suggests, this is simply a letter, but the only difference is that the main body that it consists of is about some kind of data analysis, which is actually a report. So let us see the elements of a letter format one by one. So again, the first one is the letterhead, and it is similar to that of the pre-printed format and the memo format. Now the next one we write after the letterhead is the date on which we have written this report, which is followed by the address to whom you are submitting to. So this address is called actually the inside address, and it consists of the name of the person. If you know the designation of the person, then write that also. If you don't know the name of the person, then you only write the designation of the person, and then you mention the name of the company along with its full address. So this is the inside address, which is nothing but the recipient's address. Now this inside address is followed by the subject. So we all know that in the other reports, we wrote the title and we wrote the topic of the report. So in the letter, we always write a subject, and subject always gives an overall idea about what is going to be there in the letter. So subject is a very, very important element of a letter format. And when you write a subject, you must take care that only by reading that one sentence of your subject, the reader understands what is going to be followed in the report. So here for an example, the subject is written that a survey on features which are preferable to the younger generation and others. This particular report has been asked by a company to some consultant or some research scholar. So here the subject is put like this, and everything is justified to the left margin. Now the subject is followed by what we call as the salutation. Now generally we write salutation as Dear Sir or Dear Sir/Madam. If we know the name of the person, we write Dear Mr. ABC or Dear Miss ABC. But we don't write Dear ABC because that looks very informal. So even if you want to write the name of the person, you have to add the title before the name of the person when you write. Now let us see what does the main body consist of. So again, the main body over here has the introduction, then there is a data, its analysis, and then there is a conclusion. So now let us see what do we write at the end of the letter format. So in the end, we write down complimentary clause, and there is a signature block. So the complimentary clause can be written as sincerely or truly or faithfully. Or you may even write down yours sincerely, yours truly, or yours faithfully. But these days it is all redundant and people only use the word sincerely, truly, or faithfully. Now after the complimentary clause, we leave a space for the signature, there we sign, and then we write down our name and designation. Now there is no need to write down the name of your organization because it is already there at the top, which is on the letterhead. So this is how you write down the letter format. So today we discussed about these three formats, that is the pre-printed format, the memo format and the letter format. So in our next session, we are going to talk about a very long report and which is the manuscript format.